Welcome into a Clippers Talk Live. I'm Adam Osland. Hey, everybody. We're back. 7 days a week here. And by the way, we do have to give out this Intuit Dome hat. So I'm going to give out the second keyword at some point in today's show, which will be about the big men on the Clippers. One who's been playing for them and is the longest tenured Clipper. One who is an offseason pickup in Mo Bamba, of course, who is returning. It sounds like tomorrow night, as we got the news a little bit earlier from La Murray of The Athletic. I'll read it to you, make sure we're accurate about this. But team sources tell The Athletic that Mo Bamba is expected to be available to play for the first time this season with the LA Clippers tomorrow versus the Utah Jazz. Bamba played with the San Diego Clippers on Thursday. He's not listed as questionable. He's not on the injury report. So this is some news that we've been anticipating here. 3 dozens in first, of course. Mio would say F your first because he's been second here. 3 dozen, how we doing? Mio, how we doing? Alex Webb said, let's go. Get a dub tomorrow and get back on track. Good to see you guys in here. Appreciate you all. I don't know what. Background's messing with me here with the green screen. I wasn't going to talk about Mo Bamba. I did anticipate this news happening. As I've talked about it a little bit, I expected him back for one of these next 2 games on the back-to-back. Clippers tomorrow night at Intuit Dome taking on the Utah Jazz. Monday night taking on the Golden State Warriors. I know. They get the Golden State Warriors at the rest disadvantage, of course. Mio said, I'm excited to see what Bamba adds to our defensive bench unit. I'm good, 3 dozen. How are you? This is an interesting pickup, and I always thought that this offseason by the Clippers. First of all, he has a relationship with Kawhi Leonard, apparently. And there were some, I think Joseph Ryan Ward told me this, some inquiries about bringing in Mo Bamba for years with this Clippers team because he and Kawhi are friends. But if you're familiar with his game at all, you know that Mo Bamba can shoot it a little bit from the outside. And that's where a lot of the intrigue comes from. Now, before someone says it, I'm going to say I don't think there's going to be a point where they're going to play him at the power forward next to Ivica Zubac at the center just because he can shoot it some from the outside. And therefore, the Clippers could go extremely big. Adam, why wouldn't they do it? Well, you understand there's another side to the floor, and that would mean Mo Bamba is guarding 3s and 4s on the perimeter. He can't do that. He can't do it. Doesn't make sense. As much as I would love to see a guy at the 4 that big, that could shoot it from the outside, that can rebound, that you can put next to Ivica Zubac, Mo Bamba is not going to be that guy. So who is he? At this point, he looks like, and what I'm hoping is going to be a serviceable backup for this Clippers team. I said when they got him, I think he's better than Mason Plumlee at this point. Plumlee had a really bad season last year for the Clippers, and maybe was never right after he came back from the knee injury when, who was it? Julius Randle, who ran into his knee on a dangerous play in New York against the Knicks. I think that was the first game for James Harden. But I am expecting Mo Bamba to be a little bit more of a better defender than Mason Plumlee. It's not asking a lot because Big Plum is just not great at the rim. For instance, if you look at rim protection within 6 feet, so what guys' defensive field goal percentage is within 6 feet of the rim? Ivica Zubac is very good in this area. Opponents are only shooting 54% within 6 feet of the rim when Big Zoo is there. Somebody like Mason Plumlee, last time I checked, they're shooting 68%, almost 70% against him. Yeah, 68.2% within 6 feet of the rim. So just to get a gauge on what that means and how it's calculated and everything, This is just one of the standards when it comes to judging a big man on his interior defense. Uh, Now, Mo Bamba last season, I want to see where he was at in this area because I'm going to compare him to Mason Plumlee a little bit more here. Because Big Plum, he was rough in that area. He falls for a lot of fakes out there. And even though he still has some athleticism left and can still throw down a reverse dunk here and there, it's just the fact that he commits and overcommits to every move somebody makes on him near the basket. That's the frustrating part with Mason Plumlee. So can Mo Bamba be better than he was? Well, Mo Bamba last season, opponent field goal percentage against him within 6 feet of the rim, 63%. How much better is that? I don't know if it's a significantly better number than Mason Plumlee in that area. Let me see what Big Plum was last season. I want to say it was about the same as what he's doing right now. Guys were feasting against him within 6 feet of the basket. You know what? He was at 58.3%. So a little bit better than Mo Bamba was last season in that area. And this season, maybe it's too small of a sample size to really get an accurate percentage of how good he's been with his rim protection. That's a little bit concerning. I know most fans have gotten excited when Mo Bamba comes to their team because they know the potential. He was a top 10 draft pick. I want to say, was he 7th? Let me see. Mo Bamba. Let's go to his Wikipedia here. I'm pretty sure he was top 10. Yeah, he was 6th overall in the 2018 draft by Orlando. Then they get Wendell Carter in the same draft, who ended up being better. So the potential's obviously there. It's tantalizing. You see a guy who is a league average 3-point shooter at 7 feet tall. For his career, he has taken, and I'll go to the totals here, he has attempted 764 3-pointers, and he is shooting 36% from three. It's legit. Some years better than others. This is just the average. He has had a year where he has shot 38% from three. That was, I want to say his last year. Yeah, last year in Orlando. And we're talking 4 attempts per game. That's not nothing to shoot 38% on 4 attempts per game for your big man. As a Laker, he shot really poorly. And I initially thought that was a good pickup for them. That was the year before he went to Philly. He only shot 31% from the outside. Now in Philadelphia, he shot 39%, but it was only on 1 attempt per game from three. So he was hitting a three basically every other game. So the volume has been decreasing since that 21-22 season where he really peaked, attempting 4 3-pointers per game, 38% from the field. I'm interested to see his rim protection if I go back a little bit further, because the one thing I think of with Mo Bamba is this. Can the Clippers get more out of him? Can I get more out of my green screen? Bring it forward a little bit here. No, it's just going to flop backwards. Can they coach him up? Can they bring out the best in Mo Bamba? Why is he disappointed so far in the league? He has. You're the 6th pick in the draft, and now you're on a veteran minimum contract right now, right? So you have to acknowledge that he has been somewhat of a disappointment. He only played, by the way, 9 games with the Lakers. Remember that? He was banged up, and he's had his own injury issues. Let me go back to that 21-22 season I've been referencing here, where he played 71 games with Orlando and was shooting 38% from three on decent volume, 4 attempts per game. I want to see what his rim protection was in that season. That was his, I think, his best year overall. Let me bring it up here. NBA.com. Was it as bad as it was last season? with Philadelphia. I hope not. I just want to see a guy who, I don't know, can give a better effort out there. Is that possible? Jeff Van Gundy, hashtag JVG for MVP. Can he get more out of Mo Bamba? That's what I'm wondering. As I'm scrolling and trying to find his defense within 6 feet of the rim. Got it. So that season, he was at 57%, make it 58% within 6 feet of the rim. He was better than he was last year in Philadelphia. Is that because, you know, he just had an outlier season at the age of 24? Have injuries been holding him back? Some of this, when you talk about a big man and a guy who's underperforming, that was that high of a draft pick, you start to wonder about motivation and if they have had that drive and that motor out there. And I think motor has been a problem with Mo Bamba. Bunit said he has no motor. Can you get that out of a guy? Can a change of scenery do something there? Bunit said, did you see the pic of Ty Lue with his hands in his pockets and Jeff Van Gundy coaching? Yeah, I don't put a ton into stuff like that. Who cares? I know that probably means you think Ty Lue isn't a good coach or whatever, and you want to use this as some slight against him. A single frame photo does not mean much, guys. If you want to extrapolate a lot out of that, Ty Lue is going nowhere. He just got a 5-year extension. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA and consistently gets voted best in-game adjuster by his peers in the NBA. JVG is the defensive coordinator. He's going to draw stuff up sometimes. I can't help you there. I don't want to see him start getting some Darvin Ham-like treatment. Oh, he's got his hands in his pockets. Call him pockets now. Like, what are we doing? It's one frame. He looked confused. Like, you're trying these ridiculous conclusions out of one photo. Okay. Was that something on Reddit? Clippers Reddit, I'm guessing. Let's stick with Mo Bamba here. I want to know if there's potential to tap into. That's what has me interested and fascinated about this player because he's only 26. So does anybody know all the injuries and little things and nagging injuries that have held him back over the years that have had him, that season with LA? I'm trying to think why he was out for so long. He ended up getting waived by them after that year. He had a high left ankle sprain. That's what he was dealing with that season. But I really liked the pickup for them. I was annoyed because the Lakers got him on a veteran minimum, and I was like, oh, damn it. He's going to have his breakout season. He's going to have some big year like Malik Monk or whatever. And the Lakers got a steal. That's what I didn't want to see happen. I know a lot of people from Philadelphia have said he was underwhelming last year at best for them. That's obviously concerning. And yeah, I know the game against Utah, people are going to be going off talking about John Collins. And if he has a big game, they're going to say trade for him. Oh, just give him PJ Tucker and Terrence Mann. Yeah, I'm sure Utah and someone as shrewd as Danny Ainge is going to go for that. I honestly hope for multiple reasons that John Collins has a really bad game tomorrow. First of all, the Clippers need a victory. Second of all, I can't take the amount of fans that are going to come in here and say, go get John Collins. I've been pulling up his stats every year, his career stats. They're not terrible, but I have heard they're not as impactful as they look either from people who are fans of teams that he has been on that have just said, yeah, we got kind of excited about getting him too, but the same thing keeps happening where you just don't get a lot out of him. it doesn't turn out to be some great pickup. And that potential has never really borne out anything, or he's never reached it at this point. Last season, 57 games in Philadelphia, 13 minutes per game. Shot 49% from the field. That's because he's also taking threes out there, but only one per game. He shot 39%. Again, he's hitting a three every other game. That's not exactly high volume. And he averaged 4.5 points per game and 4 boards per game in those 13 minutes. If you go per 36, that projects to 12 and 12. So that's not terrible production in limited minutes out there. I don't hate that. Like, his overall per 36 numbers for his career are 15 and 12. So his rebounding rate's pretty decent when he's out there. And he's getting some points here and there. All you need is 10 minutes from Obama, guys. And I'll explain more in a little bit when I talk about Ivica Zubac. Bastian Schweinsteiger said LMAO Bamba is awful, but he hasn't been awful. Like, saying he's been awful is just incorrect. Or you just want to say LMAO and act like you won the argument or whatever. Bastian Schweinsteiger also said, no way you're taking a stand against John Collins when we employ Terrence Mann and Amir Coffey. I'm taking a stand against people who think they're going to be able to get him for just Terrence Mann and PJ Tucker, some ridiculous trades that I know are going to be in here. Bunit said they need to play the song every time he scores. Mambo number 5. I'm sure they will. Adrian said, hey, Adam, how was your day? It was good. How was yours? Alex Webb said, rather play Kobe Brown rotation minutes than trade picks and such for John Collins. He's not worth it on his contract. Alex Webb bringing some sanity here. Manny agrees with that. Please say something about Kawhi's recent status. You know? No one knows. That's borderline timeout. Again, Wednesday night, Coach Lou was asked pregame by Law Murray if he is going to be available to practice in the month of November. Would you guys like to hear that audio? I think I played it at least once on here. We can do it again. We'll have to scroll back a bit to get to it, but this was Law Murray of The Athletic, just so we can get it out of the way, I guess. So I stopped getting asked. Let's see if I can find it. This might be more difficult. Maybe I can't find it. I thought I had it here. It was Law Murray. It was as simple as this. He said he doesn't know if Kawhi Leonard will be available to practice in the month of November. There's your Kawhi update. So, not much of an update. Same old. That doesn't exactly help anybody here. But I'm telling you, it's because they can't know how his knee's going to respond. Kawhi can't know these things. So, actually, I did find it here. All right, I'll play it for you guys. I don't know why I'm doing this, but why not? Just to appease any more questions, and then we can table it from here. Kawhi Leonard, injury update news. There you go.
Where are things at with Kawhi? Like, we're in fourth week of the season. Mo's progressing. That's good. Where is Kawhi at?
He's progressing, and he's going to be out for this next week. Is all I can say.
What's in terms of where he's thinking, how he's feeling? Like, how would you describe like the next thing that is kind of on his mind as far as the next step?
Talk to him about his mind. I don't really know what he's thinking. You know, yeah. I know he's putting in the work. You know, every day to try to get back as fast as he can. But you know, mentally what he's thinking, I really don't know. You know, but he's doing all the right things. He's taking all the necessary steps to try to get back on the floor. I do know that part.
Like, do you feel like there's a chance this month that you could see him even return to practice?
I'm not sure yet.
There you go. Did that help? No? Didn't? Okay. Adrian said, did you see Bones' tweet opportunity? You think that was shade? I'll bring that up for you. I saw this earlier from Busy Bones talking about what everybody's talking about right now. I think his was in reference to Moussa Diabate doing some good things in Charlotte because they're beat up and he's getting an opportunity. He retweeted Joey Lynn saying that Moussa Diabate over the last 4 games is averaging 7 points, 14 boards, and 2.3 blocks. Does anybody have their record over the last 4 games? But I'll share the screen with you just so you see it. It could be shade. Bones Highland was sent home last season. He and PJ Tucker right after the All-Star break, and they were not traded. Or it just could be him happy for his guy, Moussa Diabate. So I don't want to put too much into it. I'm happy for Moussa as well. But this opportunity wasn't happening with the Clippers. And even when he did get the opportunity last season, at times before Daniel Tice came in, he didn't take advantage of it. It's different playing for a bad team like this with much lower expectations. But I'm glad for Moussa. I don't want to have any revisionist history when it comes to the Clippers and him and Brandon Boston. Boston got some run. He didn't exactly take care of his minutes or take advantage of his minutes with the Clippers either. So I don't think it's something where the Clippers should be having seller's remorse on these guys. They were in win now mode. How many of these young players were going to be playing? They still gave Kobe Brown a 10-game sample size last season, even while we're trying to win a championship mode, as they had been. Now, I'll talk about Jordan Miller in a little bit here, but I do want to get to some of your questions. Ozzy said, Bamba has insane length and is a threat from 3. He is, but he took a 3 per game last season. That's not much of a threat. Now, he was only playing, 13 minutes per ball game? Yeah, in Philadelphia. And that's probably about where he's going to end up at. Remember, Joel Embiid was out a lot last season, and Bamba didn't get a ton of run because of it. That kind of tells you how the Philadelphia 76ers thought of Mo Bamba. He wasn't all of a sudden getting 25 minutes a night or anything like that. In fact, if I go over his game log, I'm kind of interested in this because he is still somewhat of an unknown. Maybe he never really progresses or reaches his overall potential with why he was taken, and likely won't, as the 6th pick of the draft. But so he had, what were his best games last season in Philadelphia? He had an 11-6 game. He had an 18-6 game, 10-6 game, 11-7, 12-11, 14-7. I mean, we're not even looking at a 20-10 game in here at all. This is pretty underwhelming. This is kind of what I expected, though, based upon how Philadelphia 76ers fans talked about him. So he ended up taking 64 total threes all of last season in Philly, made 25 of them. That puts you at 39%. 64 is such a low number, though. I'm just not putting a ton into it. But his overall career shooting percentage of 36% from the outside is over 700 threes. I'll put more into that. I think he's a league average 3-point shooter, and it's 7 feet tall. That does interest me. I just don't think it's going to drastically change the Clippers season, Mo Bamba. unless they get more out of him than anybody else has. Kawhi was on a TikTok recently. That's the update. Ernie said Jay Larenega's dad needs to talk some sense into Ty. What's the problem with Ty here? Bastian Schweinsteiger said, where is the criticism of Tyronn Lue? Jordan Miller is rotting on the bench and we are bleeding for offensive juice. As I've mentioned many times, it's not as simple as just, hey, throw in Jordan Miller. Oh, wait. Whose minutes is he taking away from? Who's out of the rotation if you put in Jordan Miller? A lot of you are going to say KPJ. He's kind of been playing better recently. He just had 15 points, hit 3 3-pointers last game. I mean, I'd be fine with that, of course. My point is take away some minutes from Nico Batum, who only played 4 minutes last game and then really struggled Wednesday against Houston. I don't know. Batum's the one guy where I'm saying you can take him out of the lineup for 2 weeks and he'll come back and still be Nico Batum. He's not going to, ruffle any feathers or rock the boat, so to speak, because he was taken out of the lineup. He's going to be a good vet and he's going to stay sharp and give you good production when he comes back. Yeah, I agree. Mo Bamba's motor, I think, is the one thing that probably has been holding him back most. But the whole Jordan Miller thing, it's just not that simple. Do I think he should be playing? Yeah. Do you know how many times I've talked about Jordan Miller before the season started and my emphasis on how he needs to be playing soon? Should I play this clip for you again, which was prophetic when it came to Brandon Boston? I'll play it for you. If people are going to talk about Jordan Miller and act like I haven't been on this train for some time now, here you go. Needed to bang the table and be like, Jordan Miller must play. What are we doing? It's just, come on. There's an excuse for not playing young guys before this year. There is a legitimate excuse for that. And
Yes.
granted, they still gave Kobe Brown that 10-game run last season, and that was awesome to see. But we haven't been able to develop young guys and find out what they can do. If Brandon Boston turned out to be something this season, would anyone here be that shocked? Like totally shocked? No,
Totally shocked.
it would probably be, oh, well, yeah, he never got, real time with the Clippers. He got a few minutes here and there. That's what we would all
The
say.
reasoning would make sense, yeah.
That can't happen anymore. Not on a team that doesn't look like they're winning at all this year. Maybe it is their year, but it doesn't look like
I love that we
they're a
haven't
true
said that.
contender at the moment with Kawhi still out. So that was before the season started. And I guess I called it when it came to Brandon Boston getting some minutes and all of a sudden looking good. You're fire. If you want Jordan Miller to play, I've been talking about this since before the season started. I have literally been banging the table and asking for Jordan Miller to play. And I said there, wouldn't anyone be surprised if all of a sudden Brandon Boston got minutes and looked good? And guess what happened? He's thriving now with the Pelicans. That can't happen again. So, yeah, it's something where I think in a season like this where you are not contending currently until Kawhi comes back and can stay healthy and have a sustained run of good health, we can't be talking about this team contending. They're not better than Houston. Houston's a better ball club than them. The Clippers are 6-7 for a reason. They could be a couple games better. They could be a couple games worse, depending on, late game execution. I think at best they're a 500 team without Kawhi. I said that before the season started. It is kind of playing out like that. So I don't think in a season like this, a transitional year, you can afford not to play Jordan Miller. The reason that you draft a guy who's 23 years of age is because of the hope of him turning into an NBA player sooner than later. And it looks like so far he's ready. And we're not going to know for sure until he gets consistent minutes out there. All I know is he's too good for the G League. He's too good for Summer League. He's too good for preseason. And every time he's gotten into an NBA game, well, it's happened twice now this season, but he's looked good. He got 10 free throws in 10 minutes against Houston yesterday. They couldn't defend him without fouling. So, yeah. Do I want Jordan Miller in? You're darn tootin'. He's going to be 25 in January, guys. Jordan Miller is 25 in January. You cannot afford to not play a guy like that in a season like this. Bastian Schweinsteiger said, why is that not that simple to play Jordan Miller over Terrence Mann? Terrence is not a rotation player at the moment, and that contract extension is horrid. Okay, I can give you some reasons for this. Number one, if you wanted to trade him, how are you going to trade him if you're not playing him? Therefore, you're lowering his value. So that would be one reason. Another is he already just moved to the bench. You're just going to take him out of the rotation completely. He just had his best game of the season Wednesday night against Houston. And his contract extension is not horrid because it is a tradable contract. But it's going to be a lot less tradable if he's not even playing games. And you're saying like, hey, other teams, he's really good. That's why we're trying to trade him and not even playing him. That's a tough argument to make, Bastian. It's not a fitting indictment. How are people not getting this? The Clippers were in win now mode. And those guys still got some opportunities, and they didn't play very well as Clippers. It's not an indictment at all. I didn't hear anyone this past summer go, oh, we should have kept Moussa Diabate. No, most of you were like, so glad we got Kai Jones. Been saying they should get Kai Jones forever. Kai Jones is like Moussa, but a better athlete. Like, what are you talking about with this revisionist history here? Brandon Boston, go look at some of his shooting percentages with the Clippers. They're doing this now for teams that aren't expected to do much, as opposed to the Clippers who are in win now mode. And it's hard to get a lot of young guys run when you're trying to win a championship. Law Murray pointed out how when Plumlee got hurt, Moussa got 2 weeks of run before Tice arrived. And he didn't look that great. They gave him an opportunity. That's awesome. He's playing well now for the Hornets. It wasn't exactly working that way with the Clippers. Same with Brandon Boston. So any Monday morning quarterbacking on this is just, come on. What are we talking about? You're not going to be able to trade Mann if you just take him out of the rotation for Jordan Miller. That would lower his value. Like, how many good backup bigs are out there? Where are all these teams with all these quality, amazing backup bigs? I love the backup big talk. It's like, I just heard Charles Barkley the other night say the Suns just shored up their front court because they got Mason Plumlee. Oh my goodness. Zach LaVine, you want to trade Norm for him? And him making more than twice as much as Norman Powell for a guy who's injury prone? I don't know why I went to the comment section. I'm regretting it already. I'm instantly regretting this. I mean, Brandon Boston, he got cut from the Spurs. He didn't make the team with the Spurs. They let him go. Then he ends up in New Orleans. They have injuries. He gets into the rotation. Preparation met opportunity. I'm happy for him. But let's not act like these guys were playing well as Clippers or had serious opportunities to play on a team that was a title contender and had aspirations of winning it all. Now they're not on teams like that. Hence, they're getting much more run. Plenty of people in here were hyped for Kai Jones. I'm glad you weren't, Himothy. Way to go. Plenty of people wanted Kai Jones for like a year in Clipper Nation. Yeah, they're not, at this point, they're not in contention, but they've moved on from those guys. Other teams picked them up. They're flourishing right now. I don't know what Bunit's problem is, but he keeps harping on stuff with Coach Lou, and that's a timeout. Like, how many of these teams, everybody's always like, we have bad backup centers. How many of these teams have great backup centers? Turns out they're not that easy to find. Bastion said, the point is, when he's on the court, it's 4-on-5. Look at all the on-off numbers. We lose all the minutes that man is on the court. He's 28 years old with zero progression offensively. Point is, he just shot 44% from three the last 50 games last season, and we have a ton more data than 13 games this year on Terrence Mann. That's the real point. 3 Trade Days said, Zach is way better than the players we got. Alex Webb said, like, just no mention of Zach LaVine's contract and how that's going to take them into the summer of 2026. 3 Trade Days talking about Zach, Harden, and Claw. Kawhi's not even playing. This guy's in timeout. He's just lost his mind. Kawhi's not even playing. Let's not talk about a big three with a guy who's not even available yet. And by the way, Zach LaVine injury prone. Alex Webb said Brandon Boston just got cut by the Spurs. Only reason he's playing is because Pelicans have like 8 injuries, right? People are devoid of context. Adam Richards said, I'm worried the front office will prioritize star power moving forward to fill up into it versus a great basketball team. What? If they had star power, they probably would be a better basketball team. They're missing their number one guy right now. How do you become a great basketball team without some star power? Just wondering, Adam Richard. Himothy said, I remember people wanted to play Zoo and Kai Jones together. Yeah. Jeremy Mormon said Pelicans have their own pick. They can afford to give opportunities to young players. Manny said, I think the front office will focus more on the margin trades on the margins. MKXLNT said, Saturday night is for sickos. What up, Clipper Nation? Bastian Schweinsteiger said, so why is he pump faking out of every 3 currently? Is he still talking about Terrence Mann? I mean, he just had his best game of the season Wednesday night. So you're in timeout too. Unless I just put the wrong guy in timeout. Nayerbot said, people forget it took T-Man until January last season to finally shoot well. It did. In the last 50 games, he shot 44% from 3. But people want to go off of 13 games right now. And I have gone after Terrence Mann too and criticized him. I said the day before he got taken out of the starting lineup that he needs to play better or he will get taken out of the starting lineup. I literally said it the day before, and then it happened. Art H said, I just watched Brandon Boston highlights. He does look better than T-Man this year. He can score. He's also an infinitely worse defender. Mo Haseen said, Zach is more streaky than Norm and triple the cost. Thank you. Himothy said, Clippers shouldn't trade for anyone. Only players on the table are Tucker and Bones. No pick should be wasted into this era. Just enjoy being a 500 team. I'm fine with Terrence Mann, like, entertaining trades with Terrence Mann at this point. I am. It depends on what you get for him. You better not give him up for nothing. But the contract is still tradable. Well, that's right. Kevin Richards said the Bulls got Wendell Carter in the Vucevic trade. Alex Webb said, wait till Zoo has an off game. People will be calling for Mo Bamba to start. Zoo had a couple bad games in Houston, and people are already saying, like, somebody in the comment section was saying Kai needs to play more. Zoo can't jump. He can't dunk. Art H said, Ty got to let Miller play in the next game. It's only right to see what you got in him. I agree. He's also played the last 2 games, so it's not like he's not playing at all, guys. Do I think he needs to play before the second half? I do. Before the fourth quarter? I do. What would I want for Terrence Mann? I don't have any specifics on that, but if you guys want to throw out some trades, I'll let you know if I think it's a good trade or not. If they can upgrade it in a different area because they have a lot of guys that can do what Terrence Mann does, then I'm interested. But I love Terrence Mann, and I still think he's going to pull out of this funk. Ozzy said Clippers are too small. Derrick Jones Jr. is not a 4. Give Kobe more minutes. Again, rebounding has not been an issue for this team so far this season. They're top 5 in rebounding percentage. I'm fine with Kobe getting some minutes, but your guys' whole premise of, oh, this team's going to be a terrible rebounding team. They need that power forward that can rebound. Oh, by the way, he also needs to be able to shoot because he's playing next to Ivica Zubac, and you're going to pack the paint and clog up the offense if he can't. You have to have a guy who can rebound that also can space the floor, so it's not that simple, and those guys are really hard to find. But again, they've been a top 5 rebounding team. Will they stay that way? Probably not. I don't think so. Triple J said, this is the one year that Team Man's slow start won't cut it. Having 2 superstars production made it easy to hide Man as a starter. I've made this point. I agree. He is underperforming. He's in his own head. He's turning down shots. He was bad last night. He was really good Wednesday night, his first game off the bench. Manny said need a good first-round pick for Man at least. Maybe. I don't know if we'll get that. I don't know. Art 8 said, I mean, when they're not blowouts in meaningful minutes. Okay, yes, with Jordan Miller, I agree. Man for Dennis Schroeder, said Adam Richard. Would I do that? I don't know. I don't hate that idea. I do like Dennis Schroeder. I'm a fan of his game. His defense at times leaves something to be desired, but obviously he can get buckets, and he's having a really good start to the year. He's averaging 19 points on 47% from the field, 43% from 3. I don't know. Brooklyn might be able to get more. I would definitely consider it. Bunit said, man looks lost on both ends right now. Unacceptable. Yeah, he looked really lost defensively when he made the 2 big stops, Bunit, to win the game against Toronto. He looked so lost on that end. Ernie said, I heart an old J Mill interview. He says his favorite player to watch was Jimmy Butler. Definitely gets the line like Jimmy. I haven't seen this Jordan Miller interview. Maybe I do know what you're talking about. EvilBot said, man, 2025 first for Bobby Portis. They don't own their 2025 first. Mo said, is Kai now going to get some G League development time, which I feel is badly needed? Probably. I would assume so, yes. EvilBot, man, PJ, 2025 first for Miles Bridges. I don't know if you guys knew this. The Clippers do not own their 2025 pick. OKC has a pick swap with them. You're killing me. Manny said, rather trade Man for a good first-round pick than a good player. Give me an expiring and a first for Man. Let me know who's doing that. EvilBot said, Man for KJ Martin and our 2028 first-round pick back. Well, you get a timeout because of that. Sorry, EvilBot. You're killing me. No one's giving 4 second-round picks for Man. I'm sorry I asked the question. I'm really sorry. I am in hell right now with some of these trades. 3 trade days says Dennis Schroeder timeout. Art H said T-Man, PJ Tucker, a pick. How about what pick? What pick? The Clippers don't have a pick. How do you guys not know this? A 2025 first round pick? They don't own their first round pick. Oh my God. If anything that you should know about the Clippers is they don't control any picks till 2030. Even Adam Richards said, "We not giving picks out in any trades. We need to save our picks." Some people here are trying to get a first round pick. Others are trying to give up a first round pick. This was a mistake. This was all a mistake. How are you going to get a timeout on your day off? Evil Bot got a timeout on his day off. I'm sorry. But if you say give out a 2025 first round pick, you are getting a timeout. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. Here's the problem. Manny's getting a timeout for this. I have to make an example out of Manny here. All of you people are saying Terrence Mann sucks and saying how he's playing so poorly. But you're also saying all these teams are going to want to trade for him? Do you think they don't know he's playing poorly? Do you think they can't see he's getting less than 5 points per game? Ugh. It's just fan stuff going on here. Bobby Portis. Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. Timeout, Boonit. Of course I like Bobby Portis. Who doesn't like Bobby Portis? I think the Bucks like Bobby Portis. Sebastian Schweinsteiger said, "I don't think any competent GM would trade a bag of Lay's original for Terrence Mann." That's just too far, too. You guys, come on. This deteriorated so quickly. John McClain, yippee-ki-yay, Adam. These picks that some Clips fans are saying, like, have they forgot 2019? Come on, guys. We don't have picks. Probably none since OKC might get it. I don't know how that slipped the mind of some people. Just trade a 2025 first round pick. It's that simple. Just trade Man in a 2025 first round pick. This is a great point from Himothy. Himothy is Himothy right now. Man was basically the third best player against the Mavs in the playoffs. People changed the narrative so quickly. It's not even basically. It went James Harden in this order of best players in that series. Ivica Zubac, Terrence Mann. He held Luka to 38% shooting in the matchup data when he was on him. And he shot 45% from 3 in the series. Yes, he's had a slow start to this year. How is that more important than what he did in that playoff series or what he has done in past series? What have you done for me lately? You guys, some people are the biggest prisoners of the moment I've ever seen. Trae Young? That's a timeout. How are they getting Trae Young? How are they getting Trae Young? Who has major limitations defensively, by the way, and gets picked on all the time. It's just, I don't know how you build a contender with him. 3 trade days said, keep up the good work, Clippers talk. A lot of people now about you in Clippers land. Know about you in Clippers land. Thank you, 3 trade day. Sorry, I've handed out way too many timeouts here. I'm going to hand out a timeout to myself for 10 seconds because I just went timeout machine guns. Just went timeout. Here is a timeout for me. 10 seconds. I need to get us back on track. Rock said being the best players in a series, you got smoked after game 4, shouldn't carry all that weight as a first-round exit. We need to calm down. No. If you're blaming Terrence Mann for losing the first-round series, I think you need to look elsewhere, maybe inward. Like, can we separate those who played well against Dallas versus those who are responsible for not playing well against Dallas? Don't dismiss that series by Terrence Mann because they didn't win the series. That's not on him, Rock. That's terrible logic. Bastian said, cool, we're a different team this year. We need him to be competent offensively, and he isn't. And I've criticized him for that. Again, I called for a change to the starting lineup the day before it happened, basically. I'm not avoiding it. To act like I'm not holding Terrence Mann accountable or responsible for this slow start is false. Do I have to play myself here from a couple of shows back? Like I'm going to play something for you. You tell me if I'm critical of Terrence Mann. I'm going to play something for you here. I just did this show the day before he got taken out of the starting lineup. 37.5% from the field, 20% from 3. It's just brutal. And it's getting to the point. I mean, I've been saying for, I don't know, last 3 or 4 days, yeah, you could see Terrence Mann getting benched, or I certainly wouldn't bat an eye if he was. They're not playing well enough. I know he says, why do you guys, what was the quote? Why do you guys care about me scoring so much? That's not what he's being asked to do. Well, he's not being asked to get 15 or 20 points a game, no, but I think he's being asked to get more than 5 points a game. I think that's fair. I love Terrence Mann. I've defended him for years. I think when his confidence is high, you know, he's one of the most important players on this Clippers team. But how often are we going to go through this where we're just waiting for him to catch a rhythm? That was November 12th, the day before he was taken out of the starting lineup. Don't tell me I haven't talked about his struggles. Don't tell me I'm giving him an eternal leash. I just played you the facts. Bastian is close to just getting a block. Like, if I'm going to play something like that and you're just going to totally ignore it, I was heaping criticism on Terrence Mann and said you could play Amir Coffey or Chris Dunn based upon the lineup data. And guess what happened? The very next day after I said that, Mann was out of the starting lineup. Yes, it would be upsetting to lose to the Jazz tomorrow. Of course we're watching Die Hard. Alex Webb said, traffic about to be rough around SoFi and Intuit. Clippers and Chargers both play at the same time. I forgot about that. Is that tomorrow? Soggy Cereal said, okay, so how's 26-27 season looking? Cautiously optimistic. I'm not ready to go down there yet. Go down that path there yet. 3 Trade Days said, why did T-Man go back to the bench then? What do you mean? He wasn't playing well. Rock said, I'm not blaming Mann. I'm saying a first-round exit doesn't carry over much value for me over the expectations we had at that. It was another under. And it wasn't his fault that it was a first-round exit is the point, Rock. You're pointing the finger at the wrong guy. You can celebrate someone for playing really well in a series, even if they lose that series, it turns out. There can be context and nuance. Millie said Brogdon would be a good pickup for the cheap. I mean, they've literally traded for him before. He's also injury prone all the time. Rock said, I get it. The guys tried and played hard, but damn it, Adam, last year wasn't the first time we had to go through another role player grind because the stars were hurt. It's been every year after year. What's the solution, Rock? What's the solution? I'm not hearing any solutions here. I'm just hearing complaining. Rock said, I'm just numb to the moral victories and seeing a lot of the same issues. Man, Zubac's face year to year is just tiring, added to other guys' issues. They're literally in a different position than they've ever been, Terrence Mann and Ivica Zubac this season, where they're actually given a real opportunity. Zubac, for the most part, has taken advantage of it. Terrence Mann hasn't. So comparing it to past years is pointless. Rock is just, I mean, every post here just gets worse and worse. I don't know. Yeah, Himothy points out the obvious, and he's right. Man can't play make like Dunn. They are two different players. Dunn is now in the starting lineup to alleviate the burden of having to do everything for James Harden. It makes a ton of sense. Here comes the John Collins stuff. I heard the same thing for Jeremy Grant, and then he went like 3 for 13 in that game where Portland still found a way to beat the Clippers, and nobody said a damn thing about getting Jeremy Grant after one game. He has one bad game against the Clippers where they still won, and everybody went dead quiet about trading for Jeremy Grant. Like, it's that simple with people here. Garrett said, I think fans need to realize that Man has a history of efficient and effective play, so a total benching is very unlikely. The benching is the right move, in my opinion, to get him going, hopefully. Completely agree. Garrett, you're restoring my faith in the chat right now. I love you. I had a buddy growing up named Garrett. Great name. Bunit said PG was the reason they lost, not Man. Thank you. Tell Rock, who can't separate who helped, who didn't. You can still praise guys for their good play, even in a loss, it turns out. To just dumb it down to, well, we lost, what does it matter? It matters. They were in that series because Terrence Mann was so good defensively against Luka Doncic. 3 Trade Days said, that's Team Man not growing and getting better, Himothy. Himothy points it out. Yes, he's a role player. That's who he is. If you thought he would be a star, it's on you. It is on you. Munit said, Man could thrive as the backup point guard. He is comfortable with the ball in his hands. Remember 2023? He hasn't looked comfortable with the ball in his hands this season. I do remember, and it's not a bad point, Munit, but he just hasn't looked great so far. Himothy does know ball. 100. I wanted to point out something with Ivica Zubac and make this point for, I don't know how many times I've made it, but I got to make it again, apparently. I did not like his play in both games against Houston. Here's Rock, maybe getting me on topic. Rock said Zubac over the past couple of games has went back to not getting the ball, just like the Morris Jackson year, and even you called it out. Man being hesitant not shooting is not new. I know. That's why I've criticized Terrence Mann. That's why I've criticized them not giving Zubac the ball enough. There's also criticism to go on top of Ivica Zubac for not being more demanding and not making the most out of his possessions when he does get the ball. Yes, there is something to this bastion. That Terrence Mann has been a really good Clipper. He represents the organization well. And yeah, he's a fan favorite for a reason. But that doesn't mean we can't criticize him when he doesn't play well, which I have. I just played you the clip. Do I have to play it again? So let's talk about Ivica Zubac. I agree. They have gone away from him a little bit. And I don't like it. But part of it is because Zubac has not played well the last couple of games. However, here is my point about Ivica Zubac. Getting him involved is no longer an option. It's not. It is not an option to go away from Big Zoo. Ever. It's not going to work. Playing through Ivica Zubac does not guarantee you a win. No, it does not. But going away from Ivica Zubac is very close to guaranteeing you a loss. Period. In every game where he's at single digits, like the last two scoring-wise, 8 points, 6 points, only getting 8 shots, 7 shots up last game, they lose. It's not a coincidence. The first game against OKC into a dome, 9 points, 10 shots, they lose. Game against Portland, 6 points, they lose. It's not a guarantee that if he's in double figures, you're going to win, but it's pretty damn close to a guarantee that if you don't get him the basketball, you're going to lose. And I'm not just going off of it because of the numbers so far. It's a small sample size. I'm just telling you, he is so much a big part of what they do offensively that if you aren't getting the ball to Ivica Zubac, if you aren't getting him involved, if you aren't playing Clippers basketball, which is high pick and roll with him and James Harden, your chances of winning are so slim. So even if he's not having a great game, even if it's like the game against San Antonio where they were down 26, where Wemby was blocking him early, where I want to say he started like 3 for 11, they kept going to him, and eventually it turned around. And they don't win the game without him, where he ended up at 17 points and 13 boards. Even though he only shot 6 of 17 because of the slow start, it doesn't matter. You have to get him going. You have to get him the basketball. I'm okay losing with Zoo because without him, you aren't winning. You're going to lose some games even when he has big numbers, even when you do go through him. It's not a guaranteed victory. But I don't know if you're winning any games when Ivica Zubac isn't heavily involved and heavily featured. Period. He is a huge part of what this team does now. Şengün didn't lock up a damn thing, Millie. Şengün wasn't on Ivica Zubac. He literally wasn't guarding him. What game are people watching? My God. Jabari Smith Jr. That's who was guarding Zubac. I don't even know what to do sometimes. I called the first game to be for Zubac in the third quarter, and it was. And he got a bucket and kind of got it going for a second. But then it was over. He wasn't playing well. I'm saying even if he's not playing well, you have to try and run offense through him. You have to. It's the same with James Harden. He's too important to the team. If you're going to go down, go out firing with the guys that could actually help you win the ball game. Ivica Zubac is now one of them. He's one of the top 3 most important players on the team. He, James Harden, and Norman Powell, you live and die with them, period. Going away from Ivica Zubac is not going to work. You may have a small ball run with Nico Batum playing the 5 for a little bit, for 3, 4, 5 minutes maybe. Okay, cool. It's not sustainable. You have to get back to playing big with Ivica Zubac. You have to get him the basketball. If you lose games going to Ivica Zubac, fine. That's probably not the reason you lost. But if you don't go to him at all, it's almost a guaranteed loss. I'm telling you, that's how it is now. He is part of their foundation on offense. And when you go to him there, he plays better in every other way. Defensively, rebounding. You need him. He is a critical part of the core of this team now. So you can't have these games where he goes, yes, 2 for 7. He was bad. I don't care. You still have to keep going to him and hope he turns it around, because if he doesn't, yeah, you're going to lose. But if he does, then you got a chance to win. And they don't have other options or other paths to win. This is it. This is why he's here. He got paid the money. You have to play through him. Last 2 games, he takes 15 shots combined. That's not good enough. It's not going to work. You're going to lose. Again, not a guarantee you win if you go through him, but it's close to a guaranteed loss if you do not get Big Zoo involved. It's not going to work. Yes, he had some bad body language, but we've already seen games this season where he has bad body language, and you keep going through him, let him fight through it, and eventually he turns it around and has a really good quarter and you win the game, like against San Antonio. I agree. Jonathan, they weren't even looking for him at times. Zoo has to be better. They have to be better. But it's not an option to go away from him anymore. That's not going to lead to a victory. Going through him isn't a guaranteed win, but he's just as important as James Harden. He is part of the system. He is. He's your foundation and your backbone on the defensive end, protecting the paint. And on the offensive end, why do you think they started off so hot this season with points in the paint? Big Zoo. That is a part of their game. He's too pivotal to what the Clippers do. When they win, he has his fingerprints all over it. So even if he gets off to a slow start, you got to keep going to him and hoping that eventually he figures it out, because there's no other way to do it. That's it. I mean, look at this. In wins, 24-15, 23-18, 17-13, 15-9, 13-15, 14-12. He's punishing teams. He is a big part of their style of play, their identity, their DNA. I'm telling you, it's not going to work if Ivica Zubac isn't getting the basketball. I don't care if he misses a couple of chippies early. You continue to go through him. It's the same. I was talking about this with Dime earlier with James Harden. If James Harden misses some shots early or Norman Powell misses some shots early, do you just give up on him for the night? Do you give up on those players? No. Because if you're going to win the game, they're going to have to figure it out. It's not an option to go away from them. That's the same bleeping thing with Ivica Zubac. It's the same. I don't know how to put it more plainly. He is one of the top 3 most important players on this team. I don't care if he's struggling against Houston. Give him a chance to work his way out of it. Does he need to be better? Yes. Does the body language, him seemingly looking like he's sulking or getting into it with the refs at times? Yes. But you don't have another place to go. If their offense isn't going to be awful, it's because of Ivica Zubac. When they're good on offense, it's because of Ivica Zubac. So I don't care. You got to play through them. Yeah, there's my Zubac rant. It's not because I'm a Zubac fan, which I am. It's because it's just logical to how this team works now. He is ingrained with how this team works. Adam Richard is so annoying. You cannot like Zubac all you want. They aren't winning if he's not going to play well. There isn't another direction to go for how to win that game. There isn't. Do you understand? Yeah, they probably did forget about this is a great point by Garrett again. They probably did forget about him a little bit because Norm was on such a heater. Then the heat is off. You got to get back to basics. You got to get back to what you do best. I mean, I've debated this with him, Jonathan. I agree with him to an extent, but I also think you can defend against it much more easily in today's game because you can just guard space and there's no illegal defense. Not like back in the day when you couldn't throw a zone out there. I don't know how people like Adam Richard and others cannot understand that Ivica Zubac is integral to what they do. Like going away from him is about as close as you can get to guaranteeing a loss and just saying we're punting on the game. Again, I know playing through him does not guarantee a win. There's no player that guarantees a win. But it does get you back to playing Clippers basketball. And should you click in then and start to play much better, that's your path to victory. Oh, God. 3 trade days said Zoo and Mo Bamba is the new Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Don't time me out. I probably should. This isn't about being a Zoo stan. What game are they winning or have won so far this season where Zoo wasn't heavily involved? What was that game? Can somebody tell me? What was that game? Oh, they haven't. They haven't won games where they decide to go a different direction because there isn't another direction to go. God, I hope not. Jonathan, why would you ask this? Why would you entertain this guy like this? I don't know, and I think Garrett may have uncovered something there. The heater that Norman Powell was on was so great that they forgot about Zoo a little bit. And then Norman Powell has a couple of bad games in Houston with their defense, which is looking better and better. And they're like, oh, what do we do? How do we score now? They forgot how to score. I mean, how do you keep a good rhythm if you go away from him? You're talking about Zoo missing some easy ones. Part of that is probably because he's not getting as many touches all of a sudden. Zoo wears teams out when he's going good on offense. And the only way to find out if he's going to be going good is to continue to get him touches. I don't care if he misses some early ones. But having 2 and 3 shots attempted total in first halves like we saw against Houston is insane. That's not a blueprint for success. That's not how you're going to end up winning the ball game. Garrett Griffin said, even last year, the Clippers defense fell apart when Zoo got hurt. No kidding. Watch what happens this year to both ends of the floor if he hopefully doesn't miss time. Why would you bring something like that up? Knocking on wood, he doesn't get hurt. Some of the people in here are really struggling. But thank God that it's like 90%. Some really good comments. Why are the Clippers giving up so many open threes? Well, part of it was a game plan against Houston. Guess what? Houston was a bottom 3-point shooting team heading into that series, that 2-game mini series. And they got hot. They got hot. Believe me, they were missing open threes. I looked at the data. Houston was missing everything from the outside. I was watching other podcasts, and Houston had 2 of the top 10 guys in the league when it came to missing wide open threes heading into the series against the Clippers. They were clanking everything. And then guess what? Law of averages. They started to hit. The Clippers' game plan was, I'm not defending him unconditionally, Adam. Oh, find another channel. No one wants to hear from this nonsense. I'm so sick of people mischaracterizing my argument. I have criticized Zoo a ton for not being aggressive enough. I'm just telling you, there aren't other options and places to go. And then you get this Adam Richard guy who's like Bizarro Adam, who hates Ivica Zubac, who wants to trade him. Oh, guess what? You can't trade him this season anyways. So you're not contributing anything interesting here. You just, I don't know, mucking up the conversation. Really annoying. Let's see. Rock said, and to go back to my point, the Clippers were giving them some open threes because they were really bad at hitting them. But they got hot against the Clippers, Houston did. Rock said, I agree. Powell getting hot completely changed the dynamic of Zoo. Let's be real. The Zoo attention thing was showing itself before the Houston games. He should just get a hot burst in certain games. Not sure exactly what you mean there. Soggy Cereal said, Adam, you are right. Diversification. We need different daggers to cut teams with. Yes, but Harden, Norm, Zoo are your three most important players on offense right now. Period. So trying to go away from one of them, or not trying to, but just forgetting about Ivica Zubac makes you much more predictable on the offensive end. You're not going to be able to win games that way. You either get Zoo going or you're going to lose. They haven't won a game yet where they didn't get him going. He's had an impact on all of their wins. So get him the damn ball. This is true for Millie. Even though Millie earlier said Şengün was guarding Ivica Zubac, which should have been a timeout because Şengün wasn't guarding Ivica Zubac. But Millie said Houston was literally selling out to stop the pick and roll with Zoo and Harden. And plus, when Zoo was trying to post up, there was fronting and someone was behind him waiting to steal the pass. No, teams are guarding him differently. Same with Norm, of course. It doesn't matter. You have to let him figure it out. He has plenty of times in that game against San Antonio. He got much more patient waiting for the double teams in the second half, and then he would find the open shooter. That's why I'm saying you can't go away from him just because it wasn't working early on. It's like a running back that is getting like 2 yards and 3 yards a pop early in a first quarter or a second quarter. But then by the end of the ball game, because the accumulation of carries and what that does to a defense, it eventually loosens things up. And the average starts going up to 5 yards per carry. And it just leans on and wears down a defense. That's what Ivica Zubac can do. No, you can get him the basketball. He holds it high and then find the open man. The only way Ivica Zubac is going to get better passing out of double teams is through reps. You have to get him the ball. Rock said, to my prior point, we struggled to utilize Zoo in the OKC series. The defense was very good, but we have to adjust the system to maximize his force out there. The defense was good, but part of it was just the Clippers could not make post-entry passes. Their passes were really poor to Ivica Zubac. Now, they don't have a ton of great passers. That's part of it. But James Harden, Batum, they have to make these passes. They have to. Garrett said, what would be your best solution to helping Harden's wear and tear? I like Dunn taking ball handling duties, but wonder if rotations or play style needs to change too. Can't have him burn out this early. Garrett, after the Clippers went 2-1 and had that back-to-back series, or the weekend where they beat Denver and then won against Golden State on the road, the first thing I said on Clips and Dip on Monday was I'm concerned about far too much of the scoring load and the offense being on James Harden when they were 2-1. I said it then. I have real concerns. Yeah, see, this isn't helpful, Rock. Not being 35. That's a timeout. He is 35. That's not a solution. We're looking for actual solutions here, Rock, not just smart-ass answers. He can't wind back the clock. Done was the first move, and I like it. Can Terrence Mann, can more guys play next to James Harden? Like Terrence Mann, when there's shuffling and rotations where he's next to James Harden, can he bring up the ball more? He criticized himself for not doing that in that interview with Law, where he was talking about, why you guys want me to score so much? Terrence Mann did take responsibility for not bringing the ball up the court more. He can. I don't know why he hasn't. There's another way. KPJ can do the same. Bones, should he get real minutes? Joe Rosenfeld said 3 straight losses turns this into funny fan solutions. Entry passes cannot be forced if they aren't there. The Clippers have to be better about figuring out how to get Zoo the ball in the block. Part of it is you can't always make passes from the top of the key, Jonathan. You got to find guys on the wing. So one way to get Vita Zubac the ball is to get the defense a little bit off balance by thinking that post-entry pass is coming from the top or peak of the three-point line. And then you hit somebody on the wing who then finds a pass into Vita Zubac from the side a little bit more. That's one way to do it. Bamba is active. We'll see if he plays. What do you mean no concerns about Mann? Bastion, I've talked about him. Who are you talking to? 3 trade days said real Clippers fans went and been through a lot. I've been a Clippers fan since Danny Manning days. Kenny Norman, Gary Grant, Ron Harper. I mean, everybody can be a real Clippers fan. I appreciate you flexing your resume, but Jonathan Ing said, yep, I agree. Swing to the wing, fake the pass before dumping the ball on the block. I agree. They don't do that nearly enough. Because I'm telling you, this team has to break a ton of bad habits with the Vita Zubac. I don't know if they realize enough. I'm sure they do, but it's easy to fall back into the habit of, Zoo's a luxury. It's not a luxury. He's a necessity now with the situation they're in. So it's not an option whether you want to get him involved or if he's having a good night to get him more involved. No. That's why they come out in the third quarter against Houston last night and immediately get him a touch, because they go into the locker room, they preach, hey, guys, Vita Zubac has to get going. And they remember it for a possession or two to start a quarter coming out of the half, and then they go right back to where they were, forgetting about Vita Zubac, while their offense is doing nothing. Their offense is predicated upon James Harden and Vita Zubac. Like, their offense at their best starts with those two. Norman Powell isn't an ISO guy. He's a finisher guy. He's a get it, go to his right, catch and shoot 3. He doesn't create or play make much for others. He's been better in those areas. But that's why you get out of timeouts if Vita Zubac gets the basketball right away, because they're reinforcing that we have to play through him. So I'm not saying anything they don't know, of course. It's just bad habits and patterns and tendencies over the years built up with guys that have felt like, Vita Zubac, yeah, he's a part of this, but he's not the main part of this. Well, now he is the main part. Jonathan Ing said they also telegraph passes way too easily against scrappy defenses like OKC and Houston. Easy live ball turnovers. Yeah, you're right. I need Jonathan Ing as my moderator and like quality control guy for some of the questions and stuff we get in here. Umar said, how about when Zoo is shut down, throwing KPJ over Dunn? Bastion said this season has had ups and downs, but if Mo Bamba steps on the floor tomorrow, the worst is yet to come. What a punk. Bastion, why would you be that negative? Why would you be that negative? Why would you say that about Mo Bamba? I could not be rooting more for Mo Bamba now, just to spite you, my German friend. Evil Bot said, anybody knows if he's playing tomorrow or Monday? He's not on the injury report, so he's likely going to play tomorrow. The question is Walker Kessler going to play for Utah? They're on the front end of a back-to-back. Excuse me. They're on the back end of a back-to-back. They're in Sacramento, I think, tonight. The Jazz are playing the Kings. Yes, that Mexican Zoo also has to ask for the ball more. He does those sometimes. But yes, Zoo is not exempt from any of this criticism. I'm not saying Zoo doesn't need to be better. I'm saying the only way he can prove that he's better or playing better is if they give him the basketball, and it is a non-negotiable. You have to get into the basketball now. 3 trade days said, who remembers Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson's? I do. Clippers all day. A lot of people do. Who remembers Lamar Odom? Yes. The greatest lob ever thrown to Darius Miles at the end of that game against the Kings. Garrett Griffin said, feel like man handling the ball more is the simplest answer to help Harden and also man's aggression. Yeah, man. Willing to give KPJ time, but don't get the feeling he's a long-term solution. Well, I get the feeling they think he is, or they wouldn't be giving him so much time. Bonesaw said Kobe Brown played solid. He has been solid. Poetic Tube said, yeah, Big Zoo needs to demand the ball. I'm not sure that's his personality, though. He has at times. Zubac gets fired up and sometimes argues with his teammates. That does happen. 3 trade days said, who remembers Dominique Wilkins on the Clippers? Yeah, he averaged 29 per game. Rock said, not too much pressure on Mo. Bastion said, I was a former Philly fan. He was horrendous, my friend. Absolutely cooked physically. He's got cement for feet. Bastion, what's your affiliation with the Clippers then? You're a former Philly fan like last season when Mo Bamba was there? I want intel, Bastion. I am interested. Jonathan Ing said, I did watch Mo Bamba play that G League game. I get he is rusty coming back from injury, but I wasn't really impressed with his performance, especially against G League competition. Look, Mo Bamba is not changing the direction of this Clippers season. The stuff I'm talking about with the Vita Zubac could, because they at least have a fallback option always on offense, which is get the ball to Vita Zubac. That should always be there. I just want 10 good minutes from Mo Bamba, or at least 10 minutes, solid minutes. Be serviceable. Be better than Mason Plumlee. That is my bar. Be better than Mason Plumlee was. Umar said, when Harden plus Zoo get shut down, we need Miller, KPJ on the court. They'll let Miller, KPJ take shots, and when they go in, they'll get scared and open up Harden-Zoo connection again. I don't know if they'll get scared, but Hard H says, who remembers Chris Kaman? The caveman. Part of the reason I might be irritable is because I'm on a bit of a diet. So if you've been putting time out more than expected tonight, that could account for things. I apologize. I just ran 11 miles too. I'm a little gassed. Rock said, there is no solution to Harden. Harden is 35 with multiple years of heavy usage scoring and playmaking in Houston. He's at the end of his career with a massive role with or without Kawhi. This is it. Guys, the James Harden you will see whenever Kawhi comes back, will be different. I promise you. That is the solution, Rock. You're wrong. You're just wrong. Harden's not supposed to be doing this much. His usage rating isn't supposed to be this high. It won't be nearly as high when Kawhi is back. There's your solution. Evilbot said, do you think Dwight will be a Thunder? Is that a rumor? We're not putting unrealistic expectations. I'm not. Yeah, some people are. You're right. Garrett said, you didn't like Mason Plumlee grabbing and goes on the fast break leading to turnovers? No. And one Plumlee was not my guy. I mean, I do love Big Plum, but really it's the rim defense that was so bad. Splint said, watching the Houston game reminded me how much I wanted us to pick up Fred VanVleet. He's also shooting like 30% from 3 and like under 40% from the field so far this season. I mean, his numbers haven't been great. Bastion said, I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I've maintained an affinity for the Sixers from afar. I now live with my mother in San Diego and have for some years. Oh, I got you, Bastion. Bastion, are you German? Or are you just talking about the German player? I forget. It's good to get to know some of the people in here a little bit more. I appreciate that. backstories, why you became a Clippers fan. So were you a Clippers fan, or have you been a Clippers fan since how long? Rock said, we had Harden with Kawhi and Paul. We still needed 40 minutes heavy playmaking games from him. Yes, but his efficiency was much better with those guys. Did you not notice that part? He wasn't turning it over the same way he is now. It's almost like you will get a different version of James Harden where he doesn't have to do everything when he's back to playing with a star like Kawhi. I get done has been helping, but our overall playmaking and creators is still heavily reliant on Harden. Yes, but the solution is, you said there's no solution. You said there is no solution to Harden. I am telling you, if he has Kawhi out there, you will get a different version of James Harden, just like last season. Rock said, that's fine, but at this rate, I'm not surprised if Harden will need a week or two to recharge. 3 Trade Days said, we still got to give credit to Blake Griffin for paving the way for the Clippers' new generation. Of course. That's why I think he should be the first jersey to be retired. Jonathan and Bastion, both San Diego guys now. Jonathan, did you go to the game, the G League game that Mo Bamba played at? Sebastian is German, like that. We go to international here. What's German for timeout? Just kidding. I appreciate you all. Somebody in the, maybe you guys can help me here. This guy Trey B I responded to a little bit earlier. Maybe you guys can help me formulate this. He said Clippers were only kind of in title contention mode. And I said, how is it kind of? LOL. They had, before this season, he said they were only kind of in title contention mode. I said, how is it only kind of? LOL. They had a 26-5 run last season. Many thought they were the best team in the league after smoking Boston. There was no kind of about it. They were all in. Kawhi played 68 games before getting hurt at the end of the season. PG 70 plus. What we talking about? He said, Adam, why do you love to pick fights with fans? Kawhi got hurt at the end, like you said. Kawhi has been playing on a pretty permanently damaged leg for a while now. You absolutely cannot and have been able to count on Kawhi to finish the season healthy for a few years now. I'm going to say, I mean, how can anyone disagree with the fact, or maybe I'll say, how can you say, you know what? I'll do it off air. I want to make sure I formulate it correctly. Sorry, sidebar. Jonathan watched the G League game with Mo Bamba on TV. Jazz game about to start. Yep. John McClain said, if Daniel Tice had big plum dog size, he would have been so much helpful for us last season. They also never would have been able to get him, because if Daniel Tice had his size, he probably is one of the better big men in the league. Bastion said, I've been a fan since the Clippers selected Chris Kaman. Oh, that's awesome. Joe Rosenfeld said, let's talk about bright spots. I trust our coaching staff and front office. Jordan Miller, per 36, incredible. Lofty view, but still. I think Jordan Miller in one of the next 2 games, guys, is going to play more significant minutes, meaning they're not going to wait for the fourth quarter to put him in. My prediction with Jordan Miller, he gets in a first half in one of the next 2 games, or both of them, either against the Jazz or the Golden State Warriors tomorrow or Monday. Rock said, are we not accounting for the wear and tear on Harden by the time he actually returns? I'm happy with the production of Harden, even with the turnovers and shooting, but he's not going to remain fresh. Look, I'm not disagreeing with that, Rock. I'm just saying there is a solution. You're saying Kawhi coming back. You said there was no solution, even if Kawhi comes back. I'm saying Kawhi coming back will make a big difference for James Harden. That is a solution. That's where we disagree. Again, if you guys watched how I pointed out that in a show recently, the only reason that James Harden's efficiency is so low is simply because of second quarters. He is 8 of 46 shooting in the second quarter. His second quarter numbers are completely tanking his efficiency. It's 6.5 minutes in the second quarter that is tanking his efficiency. To me, that's encouraging because outside of second quarters, he's at 45% from the field and 35% from three. He's not going to keep shooting that poorly in second quarters. I do expect his efficiency to get better. How much better? We'll see. Other people are talking about I've been a Clippers fan before they selected Brent Barry as a rookie. So people do go back a ways here. Jonathan Ings said, my Clippers fandom story. I grew up a Laker fan and stopped liking them after the Kobe Shaq title too. Ooh, I love this. Lakers' sense of self-entitlement along with fan base annoyed me. I became a Clipper fan in 2003-2004 season. Jonathan Ings said, when I learned there was another LA team on KTLA when I grew up in North Orange County. I'm meanwhile trying to respond to this guy, Trey B, on X. I'm just saying they were obviously all in for years. And that accounted for them not developing young players and not giving them as many opportunities like Brandon Boston and Moussa Diabate. I think it's pretty obvious. I don't know. Some people just are logically deficient. Garrett said Kawhi's impact on both ends of the floor was paramount, even when he had PG and Westbrook. Placing him on this team might not make them contenders, but he masks a lot of flaws. Will help Harden a lot. Completely agree. I think Kawhi cures a ton of what ails them. Harden went from having a usage rating of 20% to 30% this year because no Kawhi so far. Kawhi had a higher usage rating than James Harden last season. So did Paul George. Ozzy thinks they're a title contender with Kawhi. If Kawhi's healthy, but that's asking a lot. They could be. Rock believes they should be sellers. Well, they might be at some point. We'll see what happens. David said if we didn't go all in on the 2-1-3 era, would we have developed our draft picks? I don't know. I think they had a better chance, obviously. But that's such a drastic hypothetical. It's not even worth, I think, going over. Garrett said, I think my biggest worry is Kawhi might take 1 to 2 months, even when he returns, to get back to form. That's very possible. It took him time when he first came back from the ACL. First, he was on a minutes limit where he was playing 20 minutes per game. Then there was stiffness in the knee. He's out for a month. So it's very possible. 3 trade day is still reminiscing about the past. I remember when Brent Barry won the slam dunk contest for the Clippers. I thought we won the championship. David Hong said, I say yes, but the franchise with Steve Ballmer is totally going for a title. Well, yeah, they likely develop players more if they aren't going for a title, but they were. So, Ice Cold Beverage said had season tickets behind Sean Rook's family seats in the mid-2000s. Been a fan since the 90s. Very cool. Jonathan Ing said, I think even with Kawhi, I don't think we are title contenders. I am not sure even with Kawhi that Harden at this stage of his career has enough downhill juice, all of Reggie Jackson on the 21-22 season. Yeah, they might not be, but it's obviously easier to say they're not title contenders than going out on a limb and being more bold and saying they are with Kawhi. There's a lot yet to be determined. But Norman Powell, if he can, get you an efficient 20, and if Ivica Zubac can continue to progress in a Western Conference that feels more open right now, I don't hate their chances against anybody in a 7-game series with a healthy Kawhi. David Hong said, I always think that the best franchise in the last 20 years, besides the Spurs, has to be the Warriors. Drafting Steph, Clay, and Draymond was huge. Yeah. 3 trade days said, Clippers all day, 100. Check you all next game. David said, Warriors kept their young core together, and they grew into that super team. Didn't need Durant. Yeah, they had a lot of good fortune, too. Steph Curry had ankle injuries early on that I thought were going to keep him and hold him back from ever turning into the player he became. So what can the Clippers do now? Stay around 500. To me, that's the goal. Without Kawhi, stay around 500, and then hopefully you get Kawhi back, and you go on a winning streak. MX Kinar said, I think we are with Y, but it won't matter if we keep losing. Regarding the contender status. David wants to play the young guys a lot. Let them get their lumps. Here's the thing. Typically, you play young guys, you're probably going to lose. I think Jordan Miller might be one of the few young guys that you can play, and he actually increases your chances of winning. So that's what could be unique about Jordan Miller and why I am all in for playing Jordan Miller. My solution, I don't know, maybe ramp down Batum's minutes, some of Amir Coffey's, KPJ's, Terrence Mann, and you open up a 20-minute slot a night for Jordan Miller by just taking away guys' minutes down a little bit overall, and you go with a deeper rotation, or you just take Batum out for a couple of weeks and let him rest a little bit. He played a ton for France. I'm not worried about Nico. He can come back and he'll be ready. He'll go right back to playing winning basketball as he always does. This is a good point from Jonathan. That ankle injury got them to give Steph that team-friendly contract, which got them Iggy. Yeah, the cap went up 30% to get them KD. I mean, they were so fortunate. Adam Silver said that was a fluke. Garrett said, I think if we want to be optimistic, Clips are 6-1 against non-top 3 seeds in the West. Tough opening schedule plus several new pieces makes 6 and 7 pretty solid considering. That's what I'm saying. Garrett, have you been in the chat before? I really like your style. David said, true about Jordan Miller, but I don't think that Harden and our other old vets are going to last the whole season. Well, that's concerning. John McClain said, you guys are talking about Golden State too much for my liking. That Mexican Nara said, Ty Lue should try an 11-man rotation with Mo back. I guess he'll be asked maybe about that, or at least Mo Bamba pregame. Rock said, the thing about resting Nico is if Mo isn't working out, we don't have a backup center that Lue trusts. I think Mo's going to get a pretty long leash here, guys. He's on a vet minimum. He's not going to go back to the G League. Kai's the guy who's on a 2-way contract, not Mo. Mo is going to get time. If he starts slow or doesn't look great, he's going to get minutes. He's going to get time to figure it out. This is not a 2-way guy. He's a vet in this league at this point. else we got here? Garrett said, "Nah, I haven't been. Been watching Clippers talk and Clips and Dip, but haven't been around for lives. Also, I don't think that record I sent is right, but Clips have played 7 of 13 versus top 4 seeds in the West. David wants to run a lineup like the Golden State Warriors are doing. It works for them, but they've had more proven young players, but I don't hate the idea. Yeah, it's kind of like having 6 starting pitchers. It's a new way of thinking, just lengthen out the rotation a little bit. I don't know. To be fair, I mean, Doc and Ty, especially Ty has had veteran teams with the Clippers and with Cleveland that were in win now mode. So I don't think it's fair to say, oh, he won't play young guys. It's like he's had rosters that were supposed to win it all. So I think it's unproven whether or not he'll play young guys yet. It is inconclusive. I don't think holding it against Coach Lou for not playing more young guys when he had rosters that were supposed to win championships makes a lot of sense. Joe said, I'm concerned that Seaman said he was running low on new coffee puns. Oh, please. He's sandbagging. There's plenty left in the pot. Plenty. Trust me. He'll always have some more ammunition coming. All right. Appreciate you guys. I'm a little tired. Jonathan Inc. said, I think Ty is giving young guys a look more so than Doc ever did. And Kobe Brown got a 10-game look last season on a team that was built to win now with James, with Westbrook, with PG and Kawhi. That says something. So let's see what Ty does this season with this team before we say, oh, he won't play young guys. He hasn't been in a position to play young guys. Rock said, I think our own history with drafting and actually developing talent has caused extra fear with trying young guys. Teams much better than us have played young guys for years. You have to commit. I'm not answering. Wait, Pete Fox was hating on Brian Seaman? It's going to make me hate on Pete Fox. He gave out some misinformation on Kawhi earlier. I was listening to his postgame show from last night. He just totally butchered what Coach Lou said about Kawhi and when he could be coming back. No kidding, Kawhi was playing power forward. Garrett Griffin said, I'm not a huge Doc fan, but he played Shea when he saw he was good. Ty played Terrence Mann in his second year as a second rounder. Young guys earn opportunities, especially as late picks. Yeah, to say that Coach Lou hasn't played anyone is just not true. He got second year Terrence Mann in there a bunch. John McClain said, I agree with Doc not playing young guys. I mean, some people may not know, but Isaiah Joe was from the Sixers when Doc was the coach, and he didn't play him, and Joe left to join OKC. Damn. Yeah. And with the new CBA, you do have to play young guys. That's why I think the Clippers made an emphasis of that with Kobe Brown last year. Denver has been good with it, with Peyton Watson and Christian Brown. But not many teams not many teams that are contenders have really balanced that or figured that out yet. It's very difficult. David said, so still long season ahead. Let's get to 500 and see what happens. Kawhi will be back, and we need to be ready. Hope you're right. This is true. Jonathan Inc. said Doc didn't play SGA until Avery Bradley got hurt. Jonathan Inc., our moderator, fact checking. All right. I'm gonna get out of here. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a preview of tomorrow's game, but at worst, we'll obviously have your pregame show starting at I think 5. Is the game at 6 tipping off tomorrow night and into a dome against the Utah Jazz? Yes, it is. So pregame at 5, right back here. It's all love. Sure, a few timeouts here and there, some frustration on some of the questions, but I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't having fun. So, talk to you guys tomorrow. This has been another edition of Clip